But first, the news out of Toronto. Fairly significant news as far as rattling Leaf Nation. Three more cuts were made. Connor Carrick, the defenseman, was waived, as well as Calvin Pickard and Curtis McElhinney. Both those goaltenders put on waivers. What's your initial reaction here? Because a lot of the pundits thought that Curtis McElhinney had the inside track to be Freddie Anderson's backup. He did an admirable job last year, but that's not the case. What happened?
Well, you know, McElhinney did a great job last year getting critical points at critical times. And we all know if you don't have great backup goaltending, it can really hinder your chances of climbing up the standings or making the playoffs. Sparks, yeah, great Calder Cup. No doubt about that. Younger, understand that. I'm a little surprised by it, to be quite honest. But, you know, when you're a management group, you've got to look present and future.
I think what you're also seeing is a little bit of loyalty from the guy who constructed the Marlies AHL Calder Cup championship team with Kyle Dubas, and saying that, you know what, we need to start growing our young guys and giving our young guys an opportunity. Now, that said, you know, it's 2 days before the season starts. Just because you're on waivers doesn't mean you're going to be on waivers and be with the Marlies forever. It wouldn't surprise me to see Curtis McElhinney back in the National Hockey League with the Toronto Maple Leafs if he doesn't get picked up, with the Toronto Maple Leafs in less than a month. And
that's real interesting, because you'd say, okay, who's looking for a backup goaltender? And I think, okay, there's a contender out west, the Winnipeg Jets. Mm-hmm. Brossoit is their backup goaltender today. Does McElhinney come in a situation like that? Do they in fact lose him to a team? This time of year, it's always challenging to make waiver pickups, but he's right price, amazing reputation as quality in the room, and Babcock loved this guy last year. So this was an interesting move here.
Just from a hockey standpoint, though, guys, I get he's 35 years old, but as you said, a pretty good price tag at $850,000, going to be a UFA after this season. But when you look at what McElhinney did last year, he got all the tough starts. He had all the back-to-backs. That's a fine, by the way, Doug McLean. He gets all the back-to-backs, right? He gets all the tough road games.
Not if it's a scoop.
And, yeah, if you got something
I get a lot of scoops.
By the way,
listen, he won 11 of his 15 starts.
Oh, no. Listen, he did what he was supposed to do for the Toronto Maple Leafs last year. There's no question about that. And he had the right mindset as a backup goalie. I think Doug will be able to talk about that more than us, because you know the chemistry in the room is important for a team, and you know the backup goalie, if he's not sulking that he's not playing, is probably a good thing.
Tortorella was disappointed when he lost him in Columbus.
Right.
Because he was such a quality guy with Bobrovsky. Babcock, you know, he's a well-thought-of veteran guy. By the same token, Sparks has paid his dues. He's won. Pickard's got a guy that's had a pretty good run as a goalie. A lot of people thought he had a chance to be a real good NHL goalie. So, you know what? It's an interesting move, and I can see both sides of it.
How do you sell this to the team, though? If the team feels they trust McElhinney, it's not
they're not worried about this. The team's
You don't think so, honestly?
I don't. I think they're disappointed for McElhinney. I think that you sell it that, you know what? I don't think they're concerned about it. It's like when you trade a guy and you make this big trade, and it's a very popular guy. The first thing that's out of players' mouths is,
who's coming here?
Who'd we get?
Yeah, that's right.
And then, oh, that's too bad we lost him.